In India, heat doesn't simply scorch, it costs income and productivity. Our research shows that in a city like Bhubaneswar, the city can lose 9% of its total income simply due to the heat and humidity. Climate projections show that by 2050, a normal summer day will feel like heat wave conditions of today. And while you hold that thought, let me welcome you to another episode of COgreen. The iFOREST team is in Bhubaneswar today for the launch of the first ever city-level integrated heat and cooling action plan that we're doing in partnership with the Singapore ETH Centre. In a conversation that's about to unfold, you'll watch CEO of iFOREST, Dr. Chandra Bhushan, speak with Ander Zozaya, Project Manager of Cooling Singapore at the Singapore ETH Centre. And they're going to speak about how we can build urban resilience in cities and what such a framework can mean for heat-stressed cities such as Bhubaneswar. Listen in.
So Anders, I thought that today's meeting was a good meeting because we had political representatives from the municipal corporation. We had all the local corporators and mayor who came and understood the challenge of heat wave and the need for an integrated heat and cooling action plan. This city is facing real heat stress. I mean to say, think about a city where for 8 months, starting from February till October, the heat stress in terms of feels like temperature is more than 35 degrees. So, and that was the reason why we chose this city. But I want to understand from you what is the situation in Singapore in terms of heat, and a little bit more about Cooling Singapore program.
Definitely.
And then I will come back to you in terms of why we partnered with you to develop the integrated heat and cooling action plan for Bhubaneswar. So tell us a little bit more about Cooling Singapore program.
Yes, so Cooling Singapore started at the Singapore ETH Centre in 2017. So this was an initiative pushed by the National Research Foundation in Singapore, looking to address the urban heat island challenge. So yes, climate change is having an effect, not only in India, but also in Singapore and the whole region. But then both cities play a small role in this. They play a role, but it's a small role that they play in the climate change scenario. But can we adapt cities, and can we think about the urban heat challenge? And that was a bit the focus when Cooling Singapore started in 2017.
How pronounced is the urban heat island effect in Singapore?
So average is 2 to 3 degrees, but during the Cooling Singapore project, we even measured almost 7 degrees of difference between the coolest areas of the city, or the greenest areas of the city, and the most dense part of the city. So the urban heat island effect is really adding stress to the pressure that climate change is already adding to our cities.
Okay. And what is the major work that you are doing under Cooling Singapore program?
Yeah, so for the first few years until 2020, we were looking to understand what was causing the urban heat challenge. Since 2020, government agencies told us, okay, this is great. We are learning from what you've telling us. What are the different reasons, but what do we do with this? And our solution was to build a digital twin, a representation of the city and the different city structures, infrastructures, and activities that would affect heat.
Okay.
And with that, using modeling, we can do simulations on how the city performs, and to understand better the urban heat challenge.
Okay. And the output of the model is being used by Singapore to modify urban design, improve city.
Yeah, so Singapore is already integrating modeling and simulation in their decision making and planning. With our work in Cooling Singapore, we are enhancing these capabilities. We are bringing together different parts of the city, so traffic, industry, energy, all those components are part of our study. And for the first time, we are pushing the Singapore agencies to work together to address this challenge. So that has been one of the biggest contributions of Cooling Singapore.
In fact, the most interesting thing for me when I started looking at Cooling Singapore program was the excess heat that was coming out of air conditioning, industries and vehicles, which was heating the city. Yes. So there's a lot of estimation you are doing in terms of heat exhaust into the environment, right?
Correct. So that was a bit the novelty in Cooling Singapore. Usually when we understand climate, or we try to understand climate, we isolate these components. But the addition of these active elements, the energy systems of the city, was an important contribution. And this was very interesting because in Singapore, it was the first time we were adding these kind of components. But I wanted to ask you about Bhubaneswar and why in Bhubaneswar, why also this collaboration between the Singapore ETH Centre. How did you learn about Cooling Singapore?
Frankly, the idea of integrating heat action plan and a cooling action plan, actually a 7-8-year-old idea that I had. In 2017-18, Government of India has set up something called as India Cooling Action Plan. It has set up a committee to develop India Cooling Action Plan, and I was a member of that committee. There were a lot more people, and I was one of the members. And it became quite clear to me, even in 2018, that any cooling action plan will have to be implemented at the city level. So localization was very important. It was also during that time that heat waves became quite prominent. The frequency and intensity of heat wave was increasing, and I was writing a lot about building resilience to heat wave. So on one hand, and the answer that I was always finding to deal with heat wave was not only to inform people and increase awareness about heat wave, but also to provide, how do we provide them with sustainable cooling solutions? So in 2018, it became quite clear to me that heat and cooling are two sides of the same coin, okay? And they have to be integrated. However, in India, and I think across the world, people look at heat action plans separately and cooling action plans separately.
That is also true in Singapore.
Okay.
We have a extreme heat action plan, but there's no clear cooling action plan. So it's very interesting that you.
Yeah. So for me, it was almost like a common sense that you can't, for the same thing, you can't have two plans. And especially in a country like India, where implementation is a challenge, you can't have two plans. Both the plans will not get implemented. It's better to have one plan, which is an integrated plan. It also reduces duplicity. It optimizes resources. And so in 2019, I think for the first time wrote about an integrated heat and cooling action plan. Then iFOREST was set up. I got busy in building the institution, but this idea remained in my head. And in 2023, I came back to this idea. And I started researching. The first name that came up was actually Cooling Singapore. Okay. So in 2023, I learned about Cooling Singapore, and I think we got in touch with you. I came to Singapore in October or September of 2024 to meet your team.
Yes, I remember.
And I was fascinated with the work that you all were doing. I was fascinated with digital twin model that you had, the way you were, modeling at the hyper local level to reduce urban heat island impact. And therefore, those capabilities we didn't have. We had an idea. We had a team in Bhubaneswar to collect data. We had some idea on what an integrated action plan would look like. And it was but natural for us to go and partner with you and get all your expertise in this integrated heat and cooling action.
For us, it was a very interesting challenge because obviously Singapore is a data-rich city and country. We were working directly with government agencies, but here we were going a bit out of the comfort zone, let's say. No? Can we really have wider impact than what we were already having in Singapore? And it was a very interesting challenge that you brought. I remember you knew already quite a bit about cooling Singapore, and when you shared the opportunity to bring our technology and our approach to Bhubaneswar, we were pretty excited about it.
This is a great example of South-South collaboration.
Yes, agree.
This is a great example of knowledge sharing. Okay.
And talking about collaboration, why Bhubaneswar? What is special about it? You said that there's difficulties in implementation. We had them in Singapore through working through different government agencies and so on. But how is Bhubaneswar special?
See, one of the first regional office of iFOREST was set up in Bhubaneswar. And over the last 4 to 5 years, the office here, in fact, we are experiencing the heat wave that this city is facing. In fact, 2024 was a really bad heat stress year for the city. I think there was a consecutive 17 days of temperature above 40 degrees Celsius, and the humidity was also high. So, I think the team did some analysis. I wanted the team to come out with a list of 5 most heat-stressed cities in India, and Bhubaneswar fell in that.
Okay.
So it is one of the top 5 heat-stressed cities. And because we had a team here, and therefore the ability and the partnership with the government, in fact, Bhubaneswar Municipal Corporation agreed to sign a memorandum of understanding with us to take this project. So the pieces fell in place.
Okay.
I had a team, it is in top 5 heat-stressed city, and the government was willing to cooperate and provide us with data. So and therefore it became, for us, a natural choice to develop the integrated heat and cooling.
I've also noticed today that the local community is also very much involved.
Very, in fact, you're absolutely right. The local civil society, media, NGOs are very supportive.
Yeah.
And that makes work much easier.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, but Anders, we are talking about heat in India and Singapore, but the fact is today London is talking about air conditioning, right? In fact, last couple of months, the big topic in UK is why UK is not prepared for heat wave. Okay, and when the temperature is hitting about 35 degrees. And therefore, the cooling appliance, I believe cooling action plan, heat and cooling action plan is something that most cities in the world will now have to start looking at. Okay. What do you think? You come from Spain, right?
Yes, I come from Spain. Yes, summers are also getting hotter.
Yeah.
There's more extreme weather events. We had a very bad summer with a lot of fires. So
Forest fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, this is not only a global South problem. It's all affecting all of us. And as I said, cities need to make their effort. So each city is different, and they have different needs and different priorities. But they all need to start considering the heat challenge, and with it, the cooling challenge.
Cooling challenge as well, yeah. But, I think parts of Mediterranean countries are actually from forest fire. They are hitting a limit to adaptation. There's a little they can do now, right?
Yes, but still, I think there's room to plan better in terms of forest fires and so on. It's a very specific topic on managing biomass and so on. But when we come to cities, it's a balance. We want to give services. We want to densify the cities. We want citizens to have good services, good connectivity, but we cannot forget that our cities need to breathe somehow. And in Singapore, it's very interesting because what it started as a city in a garden, this view, now it has become city in nature. No? So this kind of concept, the founding father from in Singapore had this vision where the city should integrate greenery. And now there's a shift of paradigm to even push it further, which is a city in nature. No? So all the natural elements of the city are being kept as much as possible and still provide that kind of services and that livability quality that citizens require.
You know, I'm always fascinated. This is the most modern city in the world, right? And it has the best water harvesting infrastructure,
Yes.
right? It harvests, I think, 50% of rainwater
Yes.
because it doesn't have source of fresh water. It is now building the city in nature, integrating nature and biodiversity. Basically, which means that I don't see any contradiction between the most modern city with most modern amenities and then living in harmony with nature. It is possible.
So, well, as I say, I was saying that it comes to planning, long-term planning, integrating and considering the different aspects. So, because this is a game of balances.
Right.
You cannot plan a city only for climate, or only for traffic, or only for. You need to find a right balance, no? And it's something that I think Singapore government agencies have very clear. Our project is an example of that. We had more than 8 different agencies collaborating with us, working towards building this digital twin. And not only that, we see in future research, they are still integrating more stakeholders. Education ministry is being integrated. Ministry of Manpower is being integrated. So they are looking at productivity, they are looking at health, they are looking at ecosystems. Everything is a very holistic view, and I think that long-term planning and integrating the heat challenge into that planning is a key element of Singapore.
But one of the solutions to reduce UHI, urban heat island, is also to get rid of individual air conditioning and think about a much more efficient cooling system, right?
Yeah.
And what is Singapore doing about that?
So the first priority is let's reduce the need for
Cooling.
For active cooling. And how do we do that? So especially in Singapore, they are working a lot on natural ventilation.
So breathing the city.
Correct.
Okay.
So in Singapore, every public housing has 2 ends to the house, so they can open windows and create natural ventilation.
Okay.
Every public house has a void deck that provides shading and allows wind to penetrate. So the first thing is working on those passive elements of the city that enable the city to breathe or to be more wind, allowing those wind corridors and wind to flow a bit more. And when that is not, that has also some limitation, especially in Singapore when wind is not very, very strong. That's where we implement the active elements of cooling. And now we see new technologies coming in, like district cooling systems that provide energy savings instead of having individual heat pumps or cooling pumps. We also see combination of fans and air conditioning to reduce again the air conditioning need. No? When you combine those,
this is something which is very common in India.
Okay.
What is considered as a modern way to reduce cooling need.
Yes.
In a general middle class Indian house, you will have fan as well as air conditioning.
I think it's a very smart solution, but it was not common in Singapore.
Okay.
We had current research in our building also, where they were testing different ways to combine fans and
air conditioning. Yes. I think the air circulation reduces the need for cooling.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's really smart to have a super efficient fan and then maybe a very efficient air conditioner if you want to have air conditioning.
Yes. So, and in Singapore, we see more and more semi-open spaces. So larger malls being semi-open. So maybe a structure that is covered but allows natural ventilation, maybe assisted with larger fans. But this kind of concept is being more integrated into the design.
I think to allow a city to breathe is an idea I think urban planners now need to take very seriously. Because urban planning is all about real estate. In Mumbai, for example, they are putting all the high-rise building on the coast, side by side, which is essentially blocking the natural ventilation. It is not only trapping heat, it is also trapping air pollution.
Correct.
Okay. So I think the idea of a city to breathe is something that needs to be...
It happens also in Hong Kong, where you see those large buildings
on the coast.
And then heat gets trapped. So ventilation is not only for us to feel better, but also to
Allow
release
the
the
heat.
heat in a faster way. And especially at night when the urban heat island effect is larger, that's what happens. During the day, the city traps heat. At night, where it should be releasing that heat, is not able to do so.
So what are you planning next in cooling Singapore?
So this is almost a first step for us in terms of bringing what we developed in Singapore. We've done a couple of analyses outside of Singapore, and it's been very exciting. So this
one is
an example.
Bhubaneswar. You're also doing something in Brazil, right?
That's correct. So we partnered with a city, the Belo Horizonte, and that has been also a very interesting analysis for us. Again, in another continent, another set of priorities, but it's been an exciting journey. We are now looking to further the research. I mean, AI is coming, AI for climate, in our models, getting faster models, more precise models, being able to simulate more scenarios and extend that capability. So the whole ecosystem or the whole space, it's quite exciting.
Very dynamic, actually. And I think our ability to model better with AI is also there.
Yes,
right.
Yes. And it's changing very fast.
It's changing very fast.
Yes, as we speak. Yeah.
No, my hope is that we also get that ability very quickly. One is to get the ability. The second is to make city planning to follow modeling approach.
But we see also cities gathering more data on the daily
basis
operations. They are better informed. They are integrating sensors. I walked a bit in the city yesterday, and I saw some sensors from the climate, the weather forecast and climate agency here of Odisha. So, so you start to see these.
There's some hyperlocal monitors that is there now.
Correct. So all that data is important for this modeling and simulation space, and on the AI. On the AI game to predict or have better models and predict weather conditions and so on. All this is very important to set up those foundations.
With the little happening on reducing greenhouse gases, I mean to say, US is out.
Well,
interestingly, this is going to be the 10th year of Paris Agreement. Now we will finish a decade of Paris Agreement. In last 10 years, we have only negotiated, and we have all conceivable deal, from mitigation to adaptation to loss and damage, you name it, and we have a deal. But implementation is lagging. I mean to say, today we are using more fossil fuels than we ever did. Yes. Renewables are not able to replace the growing demand for energy.
Not fast enough, yeah.
And so we are not doing enough to reduce greenhouse gases, which means that 1.5 degree target is in the rear view mirror now.
Yes.
We are looking at 2.5 degrees that is there, which means the cities will have to prepare. Definitely. I mean to say, otherwise the consequences are dire. In fact, dire would be a soft word. It could be a disaster.
Yeah. I've seen that there was a good, so that the plan was well received here in Bhubaneswar. Are you thinking about bringing a similar, initiatives to other cities in India? Is this a concern?
No, that is what the idea is. The idea is that we have done the first integrated heat and cooling action plan in Bhubaneswar. Maybe we will do for a couple of more cities. Okay. But along the way, we would also like this to be mainstreamed. The idea of having one integrated plan rather than a separate heat action plan and a separate cooling plan has not worked so far and will not work in the future. So we will engage with state and central government agencies. I think the idea is powerful enough for people to consider it seriously. So in next couple of months, we are going to start work in Varanasi, which is considered to be the oldest city. It is also a constituency of our Prime Minister. So we are planning to take the idea of integrated heat and cooling action plan to Varanasi. But we will continue engaging with central government and state agency. In Bhubaneswar, our job is now that we have a report, we have clear recommendations, is to get some of the low-hanging fruits done. Okay. And I'm very happy that the mayor was in agreement with some of the ideas. The corporators were also quite positive. So on one hand, in Bhubaneswar, we would like to work with them to get some of the recommendation done. But also, our partnership has done, from my perspective, limited modeling. Sure. We have only done 2 clusters. There's a lot more that we can do. So that is another work that, I'm considering. Yeah.
Sounds, you were talking about implementation being hard and a bit of a gloom scenario on the climate change front, but it's good to see, these kind of initiatives.
Throughout my career, I have been an internationalist. Okay, I believe in global commons. Mm-hmm. I believe in collective action of countries. So throughout my career, I have been that. But last couple of years, my confidence in multilateralism has gone down. And I now believe that while on one hand, we need to strengthen multilateralism, but the big work is actually to support local government and state governments to get things done on the ground. And that is where the focus of iFOREST is. While we are engaging at multilateral negotiations, we continue to engage at Montreal Protocol, for example, or UNFCCC. But our focus has shifted to supporting local government and state government to implement some of the things which is going to benefit people, mm-hmm. and in a short term. So this is where iFOREST is, and my hope is that our partnership will continue. I have profited from our engagement, and my hope is that Cooling Singapore and iFOREST can work together in future as well.
I look forward to it. Okay. For us, it's also been a pleasure, so really looking forward to expanding the impact that we had already.
Thank you.
Thank you.